Hello, everyone. If you've been playing Ready or Not, you're probably pretty familiar with this doorway and how it is the most blinding thing you can ever see and how it takes so long for your eyes to adjust. We are going to be clearing this section. If you are having problems, let me just fix this guy's head. It's bothering me. If you are trying to clear this area and have been struggling, I'm going to show you a quick way how to really optimize your clearing efficiency. This is a difficult area to tackle, especially on hard mode. All of these are done on hard mode for clarification. I did quite a bit of testing and made it sure that the way I did this, and there's probably a lot of ways to functionally do this, but this is the one I chose. There's probably a couple ways you can take the alternative path here to quickly get into here, but fundamentally it's pretty much the same. I am going to make a quick note about something. If you are approaching this area from the starting zone where you spawn in, if you see a target in this area and you are about to enter into this farmhouse or whatever you want to call this barn area, make sure you throw a stinger grenade over here. Do not try to shoot him. I repeat, if you see somebody, like, especially if they're running around, they will run around, they'll take cover here. And for some reason, there's some weird phenomena where it's like, I can't kill the target. It's really weird. But anyway, just trust me when I say this. Throw a stinger at him and move on into here. If you make any noise before entering this door, throw a stinger or a flashbang in here far as you can. Try to aim for this kind of centralized area just past the civilian. So as I said, if you are approaching this and you see a target here, make sure you are throwing a stinger. Do not go get him. Do not go get him. Once you see somebody here, throw a stinger. If you make noise, you throw a stinger in here. So with that said, generally speaking, it'll be a high probability that you will be going into here and you won't see anybody outside. You will be going in through this area, quickly bash the civilian to get him, tell him to get down. There can be a guy usually in here, and there can be a suspect out here as well. Once you reach this door, depending on the number of suspects you've already encountered up until this point, this can be a trouble area regardless of how well you perform. There can be someone around the corner right here and aggressively push you, and there's not much you can do about it. A lot of the time, you're just going to it's going to be luck to some degree, whether or not they push you. If you are hearing or seeing any movement out here, you are going to be throwing a stinger around this area, whatever these trees are. I don't know, someone can tell me. And after you throw that and clear this kind of central area, throw one past the cars right here. There's usually a suspect around this area. If there isn't, there's usually one that can come out of the door here. Once you are past that, you are going to be throwing a stinger within this kind of car area. And once again, after that, you are going to try to throw a stinger around this area. So essentially, you're going to be trying to aim for the 3 centralized areas. I'm just going to take out my mouse here. So here, somewhere around here, and further in here. Also, don't secure civilians. Just focus the enemies. Ignore all civilians. If you're near one, bash one, tell them to get down. But past that, you're not securing them until you've secured this house. So once you've entered this house, and generally speaking, this house is pretty easy to clear. Not really a problem area. It's just the outside. So with that said, I'm going to get into it. Hey. So here's a run through of the route that I was taking. Obviously, I've already kind of addressed the things you need to be doing during this period of time. Making sure you are throwing a stinger if you see an enemy right there. If you don't, then you can go right in here. If you do see an enemy, remember to throw a flashbang, as I said before. If you see a suspect with a weapon, it's totally fine to just yell them twice and shoot immediately, as long as they're not getting down, of course. It is good to get your AI to enter the room as you are throwing the stingers. Try to time it to where it's not going to be hitting them. But this is honestly a very smooth run. Doesn't seem to be too many suspects in this area, generally speaking, but this is the route I take pretty much every single time. Almost every step is very similar in every run, even if there is contacts. Surprisingly, there wasn't too many in this one, but I do go through it multiple times, and I do show a lot of the variation in spawns and behavior and scenarios like hostages. There was a hostage situation in the right side barn from spawn, as well as seeing a target right out of spawn and throwing a stinger at him. So there's a couple scenarios that I will address and kind of highlight that you might come across and how I kind of dealt with them. Other than that, like once you're in the house, it's pretty straightforward a lot of the time, as long as you're just making sure you're careful around that staircase to the tunnel. After that, you're pretty much set to go through and just do your thing, because obviously the outside is the real trouble area. But as you can see, I pretty much handle this, you know, perfectly fine. Very, very little trouble. Here's a little quick example of this guy does not have a weapon, even though you can see it on his holster. You yell twice, you shoot him, and you shouldn't get a negative. Here's a situation where they took a hostage. Just take your time. A lot of the time you have more time than you think you do. Just be patient and aim for the head. Here I encounter somebody right towards this door. All you have to do is throw an extra stinger. I yell a couple times, and then I throw a stinger further in. Same thing. Small variation in how you do it. Sometimes it is important to tell a AI to secure him, because that can be an issue, because sometimes they will get up and shoot you again. To minimize that, because that does cause a lot of issues, it is important to do that. Make sure you just tell them to restrain them. Just one person is totally fine. Also, during this area, it's good to use search room command. I have mine defaulted to press Z when I'm looking in a general area, so it will automatically restrain everybody in the area. And here's the scenario where I had just stunned him, but he, you know, was starting to get up. But it's important to address the active threats before you handle the more passive threats. Here, just make sure you are ready to take down any target in that area before the tunnel. And so there's a couple of variations for when you are clearing Rustbelt. The loadout I usually would take is taking 7 stingers. You can also just take 3 stingers and the rest flashbangs for when you go into the tunnel, since they're a little bit safer and you're less likely to throw a stinger and stun yourself. So flashbangs are a little bit closer for close quarters. Stingers are better for more open areas. So you only need 3 stingers to throw in the first kind of area. If you're not quite sure if you're going to be throwing them perfectly correctly, you can take 4 stingers to clear the first area. If you're not using a shield, don't take a magazine for your sidearm. Just get an extra stinger or an extra magazine for your primary. I do recommend 5 to 6-ish. You can probably get away with 4 if you're really diligent. Then this is with AI, remember, not with players or solo. So this is important to note, since you'll have a little bit more firepower, obviously, with your team. So you don't need to have as many mags, assuming you're utilizing them correctly. And as I said, if you're not taking a shield, a flash launcher and or a stinger is perfectly fine. I wouldn't really recommend anything else for Rustbelt. Mirror gun is okay, but it's not really great, I would say. Just because of the poor visibility in the tunnels, it's hard to see everything and see where enemies are. It's going to help a little bit, but I still probably recommend something like a flash launcher or a flash or a stinger launcher. There also is this build that I did show on my channel, where it's a bunch of it's a flash launcher primary with a Mark V. This is a really good way to clear the starting part of Rustbelt. As you can see, I still have 3 stingers. You can use those to open and clear the area. Kind of the same thing. Just watch that video. You'll kind of see what I mean by that video. I mean talking about the only loadout you really need on hard mode, because this can essentially clear everything. It kind of has everything it needs. If you want a few more stingers and are comfortable with taking a lighter set of armor, so just taking light and ceramic, you can have a few more stingers or flashbangs, depending what you want to use. Stingers are definitely going to be what you want to use when you are going through the Rustbelt first open area, just because of stingers have a larger radius, and this should be able to clear everything else. You can use a shield to tackle the hard parts where you can't see with vision. So for this run, I did encounter a situation where a suspect would appear here. As you can see, he's right there and he's already aiming at me. Always throw a stinger and hide behind one of these cars. Once he's stunned and once he's down, just gotta yell at him a couple times. Once he surrenders, it's good. After that, remember to throw a flashbang or a grenade inside here as well. There are a couple instances where once everyone's aware of your presence and active, and obviously you've exchanged shots, do not shoot, throw flashbangs though, obviously. As I said, when you are entering here, it's very important to throw a flashbang or a stinger grenade to cover yourself. Once they know you're here and you've made some noise, this section becomes a lot more dangerous. As I said, make sure you are throwing a stinger at that target and then flashing inside here or using a stinger in here in that barn behind me. Clear the area around here the same way you would. You're going to throw a flashbang right between all those 4 cars, then about where I am right here. And then once you get to this house, it should be pretty straightforward from there. Now, I do want to make one note, even though I'm not necessarily talking about the inside of clearing here. Whenever you see this area with the staircase, do not be afraid to mag dump down that hallway, because there should only ever be suspect in that section. This is a very common area where people die. Mag dump down this hallway down here if the door is open. Be very cautious whenever this door is open. It can be a death trap. But anyway, moving on. Another good thing to note is whenever you are doing this, do not deviate from the path that is generally shown. You're going to be throwing a stinger out there. You're going to be throwing another stinger far. And as you can see, like 2 wasn't really enough. So just keep throwing. If you see a target, just throw another. It's totally fine. That's what they're there for. That's what they're used for. Don't be afraid to return fire. Even if you can't see, just try to aim for the general area of the muzzle flash. And most of the time, you're going to end up doing really well. There's a couple variations where there was one time where one of my teammates died, but generally speaking, this has been a very smooth strategy. Anyway, that's the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed that, like and subscribe as usual. If you want me to do a little bit more detail, or if you want me to touch on specific things, make sure to comment them below so I know exactly what you want to get out of this, because there is a lot of things I can leave out and there is a lot of things I can add to these types of videos. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a good day.